Maori, kia orana, glad you could join us on the Pacific Way. For over a decade, the residents on Kiritimati Island or Christmas Island did not receive clean drinking water or had taps installed in their homes, something we take for granted every day. Now, through a massive project, the people from London to Decca can breathe a sigh of relief.
Located 200 kilometers north of the equator in the Pacific Ocean is the largest raised coral atoll in the world, Kiritimati Island. Known as Christmas Island, Kiritimati has the greatest land area of any coral atoll and makes up the upper end of the Line Islands in the Republic of Kiribati. Coconut palms dominate the landscape on Christmas Island, providing a source of income for hundreds of people who are dependent on the copra industry. Apart from copra, tuna fishing vessels provide government revenue and a source of employment for locals. The only other source of revenue is from the production of solar salt exported to Japan and a growing tourism sector, mainly of fly fishing enthusiasts and bird watchers. Christmas Island was declared a bird sanctuary in 1960, and subsequently the whole island was officially declared a wildlife sanctuary in 1975. However, life on this tropical island paradise has not always been easy. 64-year-old Eneri Aretateta, a fisherman by profession, moved to Christmas Island from the Kiribati mainland of Tarawa in 1986 with his family to start a new life.
Ngai benda jauh mau di mana ngai jauh au pari kira gitu tiagawa mangi mondo ko yon au ere jauh di sayon dua puluh meono ya kawan ben ndike pau kare kemana.
But Eneri never envisaged that one of the major struggles for his family would be to find clean water for drinking and cooking.
Ibun ko rawat jaka ngapari ko kaya ni mem teran tebetei to sinagonu ko payai te mani pai kanam inu ko nande kete kangai pun taran sigiro kangai inu kan te kawa to ira wana ko dikai ko nani seye ni mem ko nande ke kan to sinanu ira wote pong mari ngai rang kana simeno sakamen naro nere si teran no ya ada akang ada pero sa Amerikano ay bukinti. Asa penting-penting pongkan yang mani pagi segini.
In fact, the people of Christmas Island never expected that access to water supply was ever going to be a problem.
As the way of Kiribati people, we don't know that there will be a problem in water in future. We think that water will be available anytime until we die. But now we realize that the population is coming up in Christmas Island. The government focuses on to develop Christmas Island, like SPC coming, and they told us that there is not enough water in Christmas Island. They said the population is only to a limit of 20,000 can stay on Christmas Island with water, underground water. If more than that, there will be danger or trouble to the human being Christmas Island. We didn't notice that when I first came here.
Christmas Island, which is also considered the world's driest atoll, does not receive any significant rainfall for up to 5 years at a time, taking its toll on the already limited water resources, meaning water security and management is critical for its population. The lack of constant access to water also used to have severe impacts on the only medical facility on the island.
We experience shortage of water most of the time before the water project is completed. In the past, they used to deliver our water to our overhead tank twice a day, one in the morning and one in the afternoon, so that we can function with a good supply of water. Unfortunately, there were times when they came only once. Sometimes they did not come at all. And those were the days that we did our work without water. It must be noted that water is very much needed, especially in the workplace like the hospital. When we have a case for the operating theater, emergency cases, so those are the times that we cannot wait for water. We have to go and fetch water from the nearby houses here. And for the surgeon, the nurses, the team members to do the scrubbing before attending to the surgery.
While many reverted to the shallow wells near their homes, which usually provided salty or brackish water, others had to rely on the government water trucks to supply their water.
Sometimes we get it from the water delivery, but the water delivery is sometimes you argue with them. They didn't come on time, so you trace them. Where's our water? And what we did is my husband digging the groundwater for like washing and the toilets use, because that one is we like for bathing and cooking.
Over the years, the existing water supply system deteriorated and water was no longer being pumped down to the far end of the island. A long-term, sustainable solution was needed. In collaboration with the government of Kiribati, the Pacific community began the Kiritimati Island Water Project in 2014. Funded by the European Union and the government of New Zealand, the project's first priority was to restore supply to the two main communities without access to clean and safe drinking water, namely London and Tennessee.
When we started in 2014 was to upgrade the existing infrastructure to try and improve supply into London and Tennessee. And so as soon as we came in the first 2 years of the project, we rehabilitated all the existing pumps, fixed all the windmills, basically replaced all the parts in the windmills and just kept the main structure. With the solar pumps, they were not repairable, so we just replaced them with new solar pumps.
SPC carried out magnetic surveys at 4 wells and Decca waterlands to get an estimation of the underground water resources. Boreholes were constructed in areas where there was underground water and special equipment installed at the site to continuously monitor the water level and salinity. The monitoring boreholes are fitted with 7 tubes placed at different depths, ranging from 4.5 meters down to 22 meters below the surface. Once the underground water sources were identified and boreholes tested for salinity, water galleries were installed along the waterlands, which extracts water using submersible pumps and solar energy to power the entire system. The innovative design of the solar panels ensures the system is able to extract as much solar power as possible to run the pumps throughout the day.
The solar panel, they built it like this because before the solar panel is only facing the other side, yeah? But now they face, because during in the morning time, early in the morning, maybe 6 o'clock, the pump is supposed to be started, yeah? And the evening time, the pump should work also properly, yeah? Because they have to maintain the output of the pump.
However, to ensure consistency in supply for the residents in London and Tennessee and sustainable use of the limited resources, A project of mammoth proportions had to be undertaken.
What we did was we also installed flow meters on all the pump wells as well as on the main pipeline to ensure that we did not over-extract beyond the sustainable yield of the lens. We also constructed a new pipeline from the Decca water lens to Tabakea to serve the population in Tennessee and London. At the end of the pipeline, we also built a 250,000 litre water tank and a pump station. So when the water reaches the houses in London, it first fills the groundwater tank, and then the transfer pumps feed the water up to the head tank in London, and then it distributes to the houses.
The pumps installed at the galleries allows daily monitoring of the water levels at all the individual sites. What is most significant is that the underground water is treated on site by a chlorination machine, making it safe to drink. The first time in almost a decade, water is able to be treated automatically before it reaches the communities.
The way the solar chlorination system works is that every 10 liters, after every 10 liters, it doses chlorine into the water supply pipe. So the water that's being supplied down to London is now chlorinated water at safe chlorination levels. It's so important that we monitor the chlorination of the water because it should not exceed a certain level, otherwise the water will get, the taste of the water will be heavy on chlorine.
SPC has been conducting training for the water and sanitation staff and other relevant government agencies. Tailor-made courses were developed on medium-level pump training and specialized plumbing training, connecting systems, rainwater catchments, as well as installing water pumps and maintaining the water pumps.
They have to go and monitor the output of the pump in order to know that whether the pump is working very well or not. They're supposed to go and look at the indicator, because the indicator there, they can show whether the water level is low or whether the solar is not producing power in order for the pump side to work well.
In order to ensure the water supply system is maintained and sustained into the future, authorities are also working to implement an effective billing system.
Some people are still complaining that they request that water should be free because water is life. But now we are trying now to explain to them through also SPC, going to schools, that water is life and there should be how to maintain water in a sustainable manner so that there will be a continue of using water to the public if there is a population increase.
For the first time in their lives, thousands of people on the island are now receiving clean tapped water in their homes.
You hallelujah, yeah, thank God this is how we expected to work, but before we don't have that. First time we have shower.
What many take for granted has become a life-changing experience for the residents of Christmas Island.
Welcome back and thanks for joining us on the Pacific Way. This week, we'll leave you with the story behind the Australian delegation's performances and knowledge-sharing experiences at Festpac in Guam. Don't forget to check out all our stories and latest news on the Pacific Way YouTube channel and the Pacific Way Facebook page. Until next week, airera, au revoir, moedemanda.
Bulavinaka, everyone. Another gorgeous day here in Hagatnia in Guam. We're at the main festival village and we've stopped by the Australian delegation hut. I'm joined with Patrick Mao, who's here to tell us a bit more about the Australian delegation and what they've been up to over the past week and a half. I understand you've been pretty busy.
Yes, I have been. I want to say half a day, and in my traditional language, Torres Straits, Kapugega, good day, and thank you for having me on the program.
What are some of the activities that the Australian delegation are participating in here at the 12th Festival of Pacific Arts?
The Australian delegation came over to participate in the mediums of visual arts, theatre, music, and traditional dance. Australia has two indigenous groups. One is the Aboriginal people of the mainland, and I come from the Torres Straits Islanders. So the second group of indigenous people in Australia is the Torres Strait Islanders. We are Melanesian descent, and we are seafaring people.
Could you describe for us what is happening in the background here this morning?
Right now you've seen some activities, some of our visual artists doing some art designs on a traditional weapon, instrument that they call the boomerang. These ones are here as a part of the delegation hut to be able to sit down and share our culture and share just in the activity of sharing with people who come in and sit down so we can just exchange with our cultural stories and knowledge.
I understand that you have a number of performing groups here.
There is a group from the tip of Australia, from Bamaga. They are here performing traditional dances. And then there's another group from Australia, an Aboriginal dance group called the Badi Dance Group. And I come from a group called Mau Power, which is actually a traditional dance group fused with contemporary hip-hop music. So I'm a hip-hop artist. So my medium of storytelling is through the art of hip-hop. Hip-hop has 5 elements. 4 of them are most well-known. The first is the b-boying. The second is the MCing. The third is the graffiti artist or aerosol art. And the fourth is the DJ. Translate that over to indigenous cultures. Our b-boys are our traditional dancers. So they are the way that we express ourselves, express our stories. Our MCs are our storytellers. They are the orators and the keeper of knowledge. Our DJs are our traditional song composers. So they create the music that stores our language and our knowledge for people to dance and tell. And then the artists that we have in hip-hop, the aerosol arts, are the artists that you see, the visual artists that we tell our stories through, documenting with different imprints, whether it be on rock, whether it be on our instruments, or whether it be in different prints like how we have our lino cuts. The fifth most important element of the both cultures and ones that all these string together to represent is the element of knowledge. Knowledge in all our cultures are passed on through these mediums, and that's what it's there for, to be acquired, to be passed on to the next generation.
I understand some of your dancers are here. If you could just describe the costumes that they're wearing and if there's any traditional significance to their costume.
Absolutely. The dance group that you will see, the one that's a part of the Mau Power crew, are dressed up in the traditional warrior outfit. Simply because the statement that we bring is, or through our show, is the journey of a modern day warrior. It shows the connection between how a warrior of the modern day still interacts with his culture in real time. And you will see the outfit of what they wear, from the traditional 7 gear to the traditional headdress. Now the headdress, we call it the deri. It's pronounced differently between the different languages in the Torres Straits, but for my language it's the deri. The deri signifies the headdress of a warrior that's ready to go to battle. So when you see that being worn, it usually signifies that it's time of battle. This artifact, or this particular piece, is significant to the Torres Strait people. It's what we identify by so much that we actually put it on our flag. And they will come in with all this dress to signify that we are here ready not only to come into war, but to bring in our traditional practices.
Could you describe or explain the 2 flags behind us here?
Yes. There is the flags that represents the two indigenous peoples of Australia. The Aboriginal flag, which the colors that stand out in this flag is the black, gold, and red. Black signifying the people, the gold signifying the sun, giver of life, and the red signifying the earth. And that's what that flag represents. And it's a very very well-known flag that identifies the First Nations peoples of Australia. And that flag has a lot of history, and when it comes, when people wear that flag, they wear it proudly. The second indigenous flag is the Torres Strait flag. Now, on the flag, you will see the colors of blue, green, black, and white. The green represents the land of which we are so proud of. The blue signifies the oceans, because we are seafaring people. The black signifies our people. And the white is in the image of the Deri. The Deri, as I said, is the traditional warrior headdress. And in the Deri, we have the five-pointed star. That star is synonymous with sea navigating. The Festival of Pacific Arts, I believe, is a very, very important festival to have, simply because it allows all at one time people from many nations outside of the Pacific to experience what cultural exchange and the pride of sharing our culture is, what it represents, and how people from different indigenous groups around the world come here in pride to share their identity.